Okay, we're live.
We are live and kicking. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Iron and Ceramite podcast. Managed to say it properly this week. Uh, I am John, and I'm joined by Shane today. How are you, mate?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, not too bad. A couple of minutes later than usual, but technical problems always crop up. But yeah, all good.
Yes, completely my fault.
It's
Oh,
all about learning, right?
yeah, yeah. So, how's it been going? What do we have to talk about?
Let's see. What do we have to talk about? So, we've got what have we got? We've got our last game. So we've
Yeah,
got the uh, a long awaited return of the Dusty Boys to face the Death Guard. So we've got that as something to cover off. Probably, like an angle that everyone's talked about, and so the just roll better. In that, ultimately it's a dice game, and how easy 40k is if you can just roll fives and sixes all the time. That's
yeah,
probably a nice one to talk about. Um, and then probably maybe just a bit, I don't know, just a bit more about what's next, like what we've got coming up, what we're going to do next for maybe our next battle when we've got it coming up. Well, we've got a couple of weeks until we've got our next
yeah.
one
Two
coming.
weeks, I
So I
think.
think
Yeah,
that'll probably be that. So we'll see how we go from that point of view. But I think that will be I think that probably covers most things.
yeah. It's a shame Glenn's not here because he came and obviously watched us play, didn't he?
He did his first viewing of tenth in the wild, as it were. So he's able
Yeah.
to see how it's going. It would be interesting to hear from his perspective. Um, but as I said, I think even then, like it's a good point. Like by just being in the room, like you get that, like even like for him being there, it's quite interesting because you get that like outside perspective, ask
Yeah.
questions, and like even and like we'll come into it, but like a situation come up where something's happened in a game previously, and it's like you're like, oh no, that's happened to me before, and then you actually look into it and you're like, okay, no, you're not allowed to do that. So even
Yeah,
you
it's
know
quite
you
funny. It's probably just a good place to start, really, isn't it? Because I think
yeah.
that happened to you at a tournament.
Yes, so it
Yeah,
was the yeah, so what well so let's, I suppose, a bigger intro. So we were regularly play various battles. Death Guard versus one of the three of the factions that I run, and it been a long time. I think it was since, when was it, the London Grand Tournaments? That would have been in September last year. I had my Thousand Sons, took them to London GT and went 0 wins, 1 draw, and 4 losses. So then they got packed away. Left there like, and then I thought, do you know what? I'm gonna get them back out and see how they fare against the Death Guard. Um, they did all right.
yeah,
That when I was looking at, we talked about it in the last live, looking at some of my stats in terms of how I go with the Thousand Sons, and like they're, of the three factions, they are the one that I have the lowest win rate with. Like it might be because they were also the one that I've taken to 2 or 3 tournaments and just got panned in all of them. But they are a difficult army, difficult faction to dial in. So it was good taking them. But what we'll come back to that battle. But what had happened is we were what is it? So my John had a rhino. You
yeah.
have your rhino with all of your plague marines in it. And I was trying to crack it open, and I had my squad of I think it was 10 Terminators, so classic Thousand Sun brick, 10 Terminators ready to just put all of its firepower into it. And then I started to think, well, actually, no, there's a squad inside. Maybe I don't need to put all of my firepower into it. What I can do is declare some of it into the Rhino, pop the Rhino, and then declare the rest of it into the squad that comes out of the Rhino. Um, and then Glenn rightly was like, "Oh, that seems new." And then I obviously regaled stories of where it happened to me previously, but that was when I was playing Space Wolves and a Redemptor broke open one of my transports, and then with one weapon, the macroplasma underslung, and then the intention was to put all of the other weaponry into the squad that got out. And after a bit of rules checking, we came to the conclusion that no, one unit cannot split weapons in that way. It has to. Another unit could then fire in, but your declared weapons have to go into everything, which is, when you stop and think about it afterwards, you go, yeah, of course that makes sense. Why would it be the other way around? But it was just interesting because it's at those moments where you're like in a tournament, and this actually happened to me a couple of times. Not this particular example, but there was another in the London Grad tournament. I think in my first battle, the Thousand Suns Cabal of Sorcerers rule had been changed. So if you are not changed, it had been clarified with an FAQ. So if you roll a double on the first roll, you don't suffer perils of the warp. Like that used to be, if you roll a double, you perils. Yeah. But now you don't suffer the perils unless you get a double or a triple with the third dice. So if you don't channel the warp, you can't get perils. But that does mean that you potentially can't get your power off. But if you roll a double and then you decide you're going to channel, you will then suffer perils because you have then got a double. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it's up to you whether you want to take that risk at that point. And you get some people that will always do it. And like in our game, it was a good example where actually most of the time it was fine. I think there were 2 times I suffered perils in that one. But anyway, the point being is that the person I was playing against was adamant that it was any doubles and you perils. And because you're in tournament play, you're trying to play fast. It was like, oh, we can call a judge over, which is absolutely the right thing to do if you're really unsure. But also at the same time, like, you want to play, you've got to be playing quick. So we just like, I just left it and then checked it after to make sure I was right for the rest of the battles, knowing that it might come up again. But this was that similar case. So it's just interesting that there's always times where, you will be nailed on with rules and you can be as practiced as you like. And then suddenly some random question will come up and you'll be like, I don't know that. And you can't find it in the app because the search on the app is not good for that. You just cannot find the rules by the keyword searches. You just have to know where they are. And then trying to search Google is terrible because AI mode kicks in, and that's always referencing like Reddit from 5 years ago. And you're like, okay, wrong edition. Like, no, that's entirely wrong. There was another instance of that coming up. Oh, that was it. It was the big guns, not big guns, firing to combat. Remember, we were having the discussion as can infantry fire into a vehicle if it's in engage, if it's in combat, and it took a while, but you can. But again, it's that isn't big guns, but when you're Googling it, all of the answers are related to big guns. It takes ages to actually find the right rule, even if you know it, but you've got to clarify it just to make sure you're right, if that makes sense.
It's weird as well because when you're like playing and you're like in the flow, you think, no, it's big guns, it's big guns. You can only shoot this if you're big guns.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, of course it makes sense. Why couldn't the squad of Marines shoot this tank that's huge and just sat there?
It's a big tank or monster, and you're like, oh yeah.
Just because there's a demon prince sat on top of your rhino, why can't infantry also shoot at it as well? Like, it's 40 killing, there's bullets flying everywhere.
Yeah, it's where it's that weird interaction. It's like if infantry and infantry are engaged, you obviously can't shoot either of them because that's, and again, that makes sense, right? You wouldn't know who you're shooting at if you were.
There's a good chance you're going to end up accidentally melting your own guys.
That might be a totally tangent. Like, wouldn't that be an interesting rule though? To be like, if you want to, you can fire into combat even if units are engagement range. 2 friendly infantry units are engagement range, but you've got to roll a friendly fire hazard.
Do you know what? There's a strat in the Taliban summoners list where if you're demons that are in engagement range with an enemy unit, you can pay the strat and still shoot them.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fine is. I don't know what the penalty is against your. I think maybe you have to roll and take mortals. Maybe I'll try and give a very quick look.
I think you could do something quite fun where it'd be like, you know, you roll like I don't know, it depends like how it works, but you roll to hit, and then if you hit, you then roll again, and on a 1, 2, and 3 you hit your own troops, and a 4, 5, and 6 you hit your target.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh no, I've friendly fired half of my squad. But if you had a crap unit in combat, like if I had Zangors in with something I really wanted to shoot, I'd be like, do you know what? That's worth the risk. And same
Yeah,
as
like if you're
right?
a Death Shroud Terminator's got in there, and you're like, there's one Zangor left, I don't want to fall it back, so I'm going to do this.
Friendly fire, yeah, and like that would work really well with Poxwalkers as well. Any of your screening units, you'd be like, yeah, we're going to run them in, and then we can use the friendly fire thing. Yeah. Anyway, that is a total random tangent that I'm not expecting it to ever happen.
Well, so I just quickly found it. So all is rot, right? So one of your Plague Legions unit is within engagement range with the enemy. So you can shoot, pay 1 CP, anything can shoot in. To the end of the phase, each time an enemy model loses a wound, you roll a D6, and on a 5+, your unit suffers a mortal wound. So you could end up taking out like a whole squad of plague bearers or something. I'll tell you what would be good for that though. What's it called? The Beast of Nurgle that regains its wounds.
Yeah, that'd be really good.
Because unless you scored really well on a melter and then rolled a load of 6s.
And that's probably where they, you know, again, that interaction makes a lot of sense, right?
Yeah. So maybe there's some other strats like that in other armies, but you know that does make sense. It's pretty cool because like you could like dire situation. These guys have taken your home objective off you.
Yeah.
And you just like, no, fuck it, I'm gonna nuke these guys as well.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it is an interesting way of potentially looking at it.
Yeah, but that was the you can't shoot a rhino with one unit and then carry on shooting what's inside.
Yes, yeah. So you can't split fire to something you can't see effectively at the point of when you declare your attacks. So that was it was quite an interesting point, I think, for Glenn to look at and watch. But I think he said at the time as well, he kind of got the gist of most of it. Like you know, again, some of the underlying mechanics don't really change, right? Like you're still rolling to hit, you're still rolling to wound.
Yeah.
Like it makes sense from that point of view.
It was how the secondaries interacted with the primaries and things like that, wasn't it? That he hasn't seen in a while. Because I think the last time I played Glenn was really early into 9th edition. Because when we started, before me, Dave, and Tom had even like a playable list, we went around to his old house and he showed us how to play, taught us how to play roughly. And we were just like having a great time. It was like a teacher at school. Being fed up with 3 idiots just throwing dice at each other. And then I played maybe 2 games with him where he just wiped me with AdMech. And maybe it was even that, the little game we played, the little pairs game we played. I think that might be the last time Glenn played with any of us.
That was when we did the, that was right at the start of 10th when it was the combat patrols.
Yeah.
So we were all on the indexes. And I don't even know whether the secondary, because I don't think the secondary deck had come out at that point, so there wasn't, because that I think we, or at least the whole idea behind tactical versus fixed was still relatively new, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's so weird because I've only played 2 editions, and and because the editions change as you go through, like we're in different mission decks now, and I find it really hard to like think back to how it was before. And it was when we was talking last week about list building, and I was like, oh, you used to actually start off with like 15 to 20 CP.
That's all you had.
So that was it. Yeah.
It was a finite resource, which is like, so because I had to remind myself about it, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. So like, if you picked like, because I remember the Space Marine side, if you wanted to do like the heavy tank detachment, you
Yeah,
had to pay like a 2 CP fine. But
yeah,
then
yeah.
if you had the right warlord, you then got a CP back. So your list would tell your opponent how many CP you start with.
Hmm.
It'd be like, oh, I've got 10 CP. Be
Yeah.
like, 10 CP for the game. Is that enough? Like, you had to think about what how much CP you wanted for the strats you wanted to use
Yeah.
based on the list you had. Oh, and what one thing that I did find easier with it was that I felt that way of list building and that detachment based sort of you need free troops, you can have two fast attack, you can have three elites, you can break it up this way, like these are the rules that you've got about how you do it. I actually found like that easier from a collection hobbying point of view,
Right.
because you didn't need as much, like you could get a fairly competitive list, and you don't need 3 to 6 of every unit. You can just be like, well, I've never, like I've got to have 3 troops. So, how do I make sure with the stuff I've got that I'm able to get 3 troops? Right,
Yeah.
there's my troops. But what I really want is loads of elites. How many elites can I have? Oh, I can take 3 elites. Right, that's great. But if I add this character, then it gives me a bonus elite, so I can take 4.
Yeah.
And that was where I think that's where you got some of the better lists. I felt that always made it a little bit more entertaining. Not and again the way they're doing it now, it's got its bonuses as negatives as well, right? Like right now, what is good is that if you do have the models, and like I think you're a good example of where you've got that models. But even now, I'm getting there with some of my armies where I've got enough of one thing to have that. You can max out like a particular thing, like drones, for
Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
So maybe not a good example. They're getting put back in the box, but like as in,
Well, yeah, some of them are.
yeah, like you can run like 6 drones, and like
Yeah.
that's a very cool thing to be able to do. Whereas if you go back to that ninth edition build, you'd never be able to get that many in.
No.
So it swings and roundabouts. Like it does. I think it does change depending on what you remember.
Yeah. I can't even remember how that would work now. It's not even that long ago. Like I said, I've only
No,
played 2 editions, but it feels like completely different game.
I could like every now and then, because I've still got like, and I probably shouldn't. I should probably be cleaner with trying to get rid of them. But I've
Yeah.
still got like the old rule book. I've still got the old codex,
Yeah.
so I could always just look into it again. But again, I don't. There's only so much space in my head, right? And I've got to keep the
Could you
template
imagine that?
rules
You'd
that
blow your mind, wouldn't you? Like if you start reading ninth edition rules now,
just look back at it and be like, what the hell is going on? But
you
that's
can't do any of this.
it. I said we say it's not that long ago. I mean, that's the other mind blowing thing. That's when you had a psychic phase. Like you
Yeah.
actually had a psychic phase,
Yeah.
and it was always important to try and put a psyker in your army, because
Yeah.
then you could not only use it to do psychic abilities, but you could also deny the witch. So
Yes.
you'd be able to at least roll off to try and stop the psychic ability. And
Oh,
it
do you know what? I mean, this is the other thing as well. Like with yours, with the Thousand Suns, you get a psychic phase, which was
yeah,
quite funny because obviously Glenn was, oh, there's a psychic phase. Right? No, you started explaining the army.
yeah,
I don't care about that.
yeah,
Just want to know the rules. I don't know
yeah,
what about your faction. But I feel like if you have psychers in your list, like a playcaster, there should be something there to say you can try and
yeah,
counteract this fucking doom bolt that's going to blow your rhino up. Like,
yeah. I get where they were coming from, in that they were
yeah,
like, we're going to get rid of the psychic phase, because actually, if you're an army like the Black Templars or the Tau, where it's even
yeah,
worse for the Tau, right? Because whereas the Black Templars, they do get like deny the witch abilities, but they're not
yeah,
called deny the witch. It's like you were allowed to do a deny the witch type test, because you were so anti psychic.
yeah,
Like
I hate it so much.
Yeah. That it was
I'm
just
not going
like,
to let you blow my head up because I
yeah,
hate you.
yeah. Like, so you got some protection, whereas Tau just got nothing. So as soon as you
Yeah,
got to the psychic phase, that was it. It was no interaction. It's just like, I'm gonna, with all of my army, I'm now gonna zap you, and there's nothing you can do.
yeah,
Whereas now I get it that they're like, okay, we're going to take the one army that has, and I feel bad for the Grey Knights here because they should also have something like this.
mm,
But we're going to take the one army that we've deemed are going to have a psychic set of rules, and we're just going to say it's in the shooting phase. So it's not psychic anymore. It's everything that's psychic is just another shooting attack, which is what they did for the rest of the psychers. So
yeah,
like, you'll have your what's it called, plague caster. He just has a shooting attack that's got the psychic keyword,
yeah,
and that's it. And the only interaction there is that sometimes one army or some armies, or you might be able to pop a strat where you get a feel no pain against psychic attacks,
yeah.
and that's really it. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if they did do something with that. I don't. I suppose if you look at the what's coming in the edition, probably not. If it's Space Marines Orcs, I don't know. They're not. It's not really. There's no massive psychic onslaught there, other than like obviously
The weird boys.
Gork and Mork and yeah, the Weird
Yeah.
Boys and the energy of the War. Maybe they could lean into it. I don't know. I don't think it's high on their priority.
No, I don't think
Since the
that the
fleet.
psychic phase is going to come back. They went through quite an effort to get rid of it. I think they
Yeah.
won't backtrack. Maybe they'll tidy up. But again, I don't think if it's only one army that's really benefiting from it and it don't come up that often, it's not really up. That's not in all the chat groups, is it? Isn't it? No one's
No,
making outraged YouTube videos about it. So it's probably just one of those things that it's your perk.
I think
You
I
get.
think where you get more of the outrage is that it's like the Thousand Suns obviously have it, but you get Grey Knights players being like, well, why can't we have it? We're
Yeah.
also a army of psychers. I think that's a fair point.
Oh yeah.
And then you've probably also, I would even go as far as to say the Eldar or the Eldari, like
Mm.
at least some of it, like maybe not for all of it, but maybe you could have a detachment that is more psychically focused because they're still pretty psycho, like heavy. That's what the Eldari
That's
are.
quite interesting because you think as well, like maybe they could do a psycho detachment for most armies that can have it, and maybe like stuff like the Tau, just have to lump it.
Yeah.
Then you
Well,
think like for Death Guard, Mortarion and Typhus, pretty famous psychers.
yeah, yeah, and then obviously you've got your psycho units as well, with your plague
Mm.
casters and things like that.
Yeah,
And in the Space Marines, they've got, I think one of the Grotmas ones, they did get one called I'm trying to think what it was called. I think it was like the Librarian Conclave or something
yeah.
like that. I don't think anyone uses it.
Well, I'm sure at the start of the edition with the big video, like the Ultramarines and Tyranids edition, like the one of the big things was the librarian versus the psycho phase, wasn't it?
yeah,
So they did make like quite a big deal about here's this new psycho and anti-psycho. And I mean, obviously not playing them. I don't know if it ever fizzled into anything.
I don't know. Yeah, no, there is definitely yeah, it is. It's the Librarius Conclave,
Mm.
where they get buffs if you've got a Adeptus Astartes Psyche unit.
Okay.
So again, if you've got like a librarian like leading Phobos or a librarian Terminator leading Terminators, they will then all get buffs. And then there's obviously enhancements and stuff like that. I don't know how many people actually run it. Again, the Space Marines, just the Space Marines on their own now, up to where we are now, have got, I'm just going to count them quickly. 17 detachments,
Bloody hell.
right? And that's vanilla Space Marines.
Yeah.
Then when you go into your non-compliant ones, you've got, like, I think the Space Wolves have got 5, Dark Angels have got 5. I'd imagine the Blood Angels have probably got 5. Yeah, they've got 5.
Yeah.
Black Templars have got 4. So there's just, if you took all of the various chapters of Space Marines, there's like, there's nearly 20 detachments.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot. Like, but
and
then
only like 6 of them are getting used.
exactly, and this is what happens at the end of edition, though, right? Like we're now gonna see it probably slim down a little bit.
Yeah.
In the new one, because they'll be like, they'll probably look at it and go, well, I don't know, they could do anything. They could go, we're just you're all starting with 1, like we
Yeah.
just go back to 1, or they might go, yeah, we stripped it down to the 2 most popular, and then we'll build new ones up again. But then I suppose the other thing is, like, what else can they do? Because they'll probably only end up giving us slightly reworked versions of what we've already got now.
Yeah.
So maybe they won't. That one's very hard to predict.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's one of those things. It's like you kind of want them to take it all away and give it back.
Yeah,
because it's something to look forward to, and it's like it was always a big, like, all the way through this edition. Even like the armies that you don't play, when they were getting it, it was just interesting to see what you get.
Yeah.
Or what you don't get, and then but now it's just like, it would be so weird having to relearn how to play the army you've got if it changes so much.
That's that's where a lot of the rumor is that people don't think it's going to change too dramatically.
No.
Like from edition to edition in this particular example, because 10th was like a big reset.
Yeah.
Where they were like, what did they call it? Simplified, not simple. And this was the edition of no rerolls.
Yeah. Which the last game we played, I only spent CP on rerolls.
Yeah. And all of the strats and bits and pieces that I basically put into my army meant I was just re-rolling everything. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, your psychic phase was the reroll phase.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was. I think it was just because I had all the right enhancements. So like my Terminator, what's it, the Lord in Terminator armor gives them reroll hits, and then obviously all of the I had an enhancement on one of the rubric marines that gave me reroll hits, and then the rubrics also get reroll wounds if the enemy's on an objective marker. So for an edition of no rerolls, they do give you lots of ways to get rerolls.
Yeah.
But that's classic stuff.
Yeah.
So I suppose, like, all of that aside, and those rules changes and things like that, we did have a battle. We should probably talk about that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what did you run this time?
So I'm still running Champions of Contagion because I still need to get the final ingredient off of the Biologus Putrefier, but changed my list, and I guess chasing the meta with this effing heavy bloke drone. That's going. Yeah. But I didn't change it too much. I dropped out the Demon Prince and a squad of Plague Marines, and probably not the right thing to do was dropping out the Lord of Poxes with the extra plague, because obviously if I'm running this detachment that lets me change my plague at the start of every command phase, and I didn't do it once in this game.
No.
But then having the Lord of Poxes, his enhancement, because he's the only one who can have it, means he can just have an extra one. So the idea is, with his lone op, chuck him up the middle, and then or put him near, like, I don't know, an elite unit, and then he's throwing the other enhancement out. So I think I noticed a gap there. But I put in heavy bloke drone, 2 mower drones, and a spitter drone. And then the rest of the army was the same, 2 Lords of Contagion with the Death Shroud, the Fun Bus, some Spawn, and 2 squads of Poxwalkers and some Blight Haulers. And yeah, pretty standard stuff.
Yeah.
Nothing too crazy. Again, no sticky objectives, and the buff. Yeah, like I said, the buff was changing the plague. And then you ran the rubric phalanx.
I did. I had the Dusty Boys out to play. Lots and lots of Dusty Boys actually. And I was running my own fun bus with two squads of 5, one led by a what's it called normal sorcerer and one led by the Infernal Master, so that they could both shoot their psychic stuff out of the Rhino's firing deck. Or at least that was the plan. They did all right. It was quite a good fun bus. But I have played when this attachment first came out. I did play it once, and I had a very similar list to this. And I think me and you played, and it was against Death Guard, and I think you wiped the floor with me.
Yeah.
But the phalanx relies on, like, obviously having rubrics, or rubrici as they're called, because the Terminators also have the rubrici keyword, but they're not rubric Marines. So I had Araman as the Warlord. The Warlord doesn't mean anything, but I had Araman because he actually allows you to redeploy 3 units after everyone's set up. So very, very handy. I think it's 3 units anyway. Very handy. Might be 2 units.
Very handy. Did 3. It was 3.
It was 3. Very, very handy for mucking about and making sure. Yeah, it was. Yeah, making sure that I can do things like infiltrate in the middle and then move those people away. Like, I can infiltrate really aggressively to stop you effectively infiltrating, and then actually go, I'm not going to do that anyway, and then change them. It's just very annoying. Demon Prince with wings, whole host of characters: the Exalted Sorcerer, the Infernal Master, the Sorcerer, and then the Sorcerer in Terminator armor. And then 4 squads of rubrics, 3 of them just squads of 5, 1 of them a squad of 10, all led by a character except for 1 of the 5 who just stayed sort of close to the home objective, but were there to throw out some shots and do some psychic stuff if it was needed. 2 squads in the Rhino with the Infernal Master and the Sorcerer, and then a squad of the big squad of 10 Flamers. They were the Exalted Sorcerer because his ability lets you pick up models. You have to roll a dice, but you get to pick up models, either 1 or 2 depending on what you roll. Mutilated Vortex Beast. For a long time I used to run 2 of them. They are good to run 2 of them, but again with it, and this is where the just roll better. If all you can do is roll 5s and 6s, you can't do anything against them because they got 5 up in Vun, 5 up feel no pain. Happy days. But if you can't roll 5s and 6s, they also die very easily. It was I think it was turn 2. Death Shroud charged into them. They've got like 16 wounds, 13 wounds, and literally you took 9 wounds off of it. 1 attack, and I'm like, oh, like that's him pretty much done now. Like, he's not really going to be able to do much else because it's just you can't make feel no pains, can't make saves. That's it. He's just going to fall over. And it is interesting that if you look at Canoptic Rates, they have a 4 up in Vun and a 5 up feel no pain. That 4 up is so much more impactful than the 5 up. Even though it's only 1 difference, it does make a big difference to how much you spike and how easy or hard it is to keep that unit alive. But he did, I suppose, if nothing else, the Vortex Beast did keep your Death Shroud tied up for a turn. So
and on the far side of one side of the board as well.
Yeah, because you kind of had to drop in to deal with him, otherwise he would have marched up that side of the board and caused all sorts of problems. Then I had a squad of Scarab Occult Terminators, so 10 of those led by the Lord. So that means they get +1 to hit. They have the -1 to wound built in, which can make them quite tough. Obviously, they've got Terminator 4 up in Van, and they, I think it's just a lot of bodies to get through. So they kind of marched up, and not through any kind of early planning, but more because that's what the objectives, the secondary objectives, told me I had to do.
Yeah.
They went into the middle.
Well, if we backtrack quickly, because obviously like you're infiltrating, where you put everything out, and you could do it with the extra squad of rubrics as well, and then because you went first, it basically blocks, like, you counter infiltrate it. But if you go first, you have that advantage of blocking me out, which I think you did really, really well. But then you got to move them, so you moved everything back into safety, bar the one squad of Secretary, which I just didn't touch. But then that, like, my spawn, which, like, I put all my poxwalkers, which were fine, like on my home objective and whatever. And then the spawn in my head, I'm like, this is their job. This is what I do every single time. They go here and they go out. Well, they came out and just got obliterated because I scouted them forward, got the first pair got mullered, and then the other one hung around a bit longer, but they just didn't make the charges they needed to make. So completely, like, those cheap early secondary scoring trading units, like with your deployment and then redeployment, absolutely just wiped out my early game, which was like, it's skillful. But
because onto that, like, because I had two. So for all, I suppose for everyone that doesn't know much about the Thousand Suns, so in the rubric I phalanx detachment, there is an enhancement that gives 2 squads of rubric marines infiltrate, or 1 squad of rubric I terminators. So I could have said, right, the terminators have got infiltrate, or I could have said 2 squads of marines have infiltrate, and then I've got the 2 sets of secretile robots that also have infiltrate. And I got really lucky in that I got defender when we rolled off for it.
Yeah.
So immediately I put a big blob of 10 flamers and the exalted sorcerer right in the middle, like 9 inches away from the deployment zone, right in the middle of the map. And it's like, right, they're now, not only are they right in the middle and you're like, oh wow, like that's quite aggressive, but also they're stopping, the 9-inch bubble goes out, right? So you're like, right, now I can't deploy anything within 9. And that was it. And then obviously once that was all done, and before you roll off the first turn, you can then be like, right, with Araman, I'm now going to redeploy them. And it's like, well, if I don't get first turn, they will be out in the wind. So it's like, right, we'll redeploy all of the ones that I've aggressively set up infiltrating. They can still infiltrate, but they just infiltrated further back.
Yeah.
And then, as you said, at that point, your spawn could come out, but they were then just hanging in the wind.
Yeah.
And I've learned many games now. It's just no fun fighting spawn in hand to hand because they just shout mortal wounds. It's much more fun to just shoot them.
Yeah, I guess so.
So that was exactly what I did. I was like, right, we'll just shoot these spawn and hopefully kill them. Because it took me a while, I think, with the Thousand Suns, more so than any other army, to really work out, like, obviously Space Wolves want to be in combat. They love it. That's fine. That's where they're most effective. And that, I think that's where the balance is for me. Is they want to be in combat, but they've got stuff that can shoot well. So that's their space marines. So that's good. Necrons is almost the other way around. They've got stuff that can shoot well, and then they've got a few things that do want to be in combat, like the Scorpex and stuff like that, and the sharks. So if you use them right, you get that balance as well. The Thousand Suns, nothing wants to be in combat. Like, you not even things like the Mutilith Vortex Beast, they can stick around if you roll well. And the Terminators similarly, but actually they don't really want to be in combat, because when they're in combat, that's when they don't really do anything. And even in our game, it showed it, because like it took I mean, it was a half dead squad, but it was like 6 Terminators. It took them like 2 turns to kill the Lord of Contagion.
Yeah.
Now, bearing in mind he did stand back up, but it's still, like if the Death Shroud were going into something, they would normally pick it up. And there's only 3 of them and a Lord of Contagion. I've got double that, and I'm still struggling to actually chip away the wounds.
Yeah.
And it's only really like when you have like 3 or 4 units of Thousand Suns, and it tends to be in the end game where they can all go into one unit. And because at that point, not many units are left, it feels more impactful. But at the start of the game, if you've got those 3 or 4 units and you've managed to maneuver them in the right place to do that, they're only killing one thing, and then you've still got all of your other stuff that's going to come and then give them a good kick in.
Yeah.
So it is, it is a tough one to work out how it works. But it was fairly good, like in terms of how it worked. I think you had a lot of on paper you had a lot of scary stuff that should really mince infantry, a heavy infantry list, which is what you're up against. So Death Shroud are pretty much gonna, if they get the charge in, they're going to be effective against almost all of that.
Yeah.
The 2 mower drones, if they get into anything Marines and down, they're going to mince it.
Yeah.
Like it's like that's going to be a real problem. And then the other 2 bloke drones, the one with the sprayer and the one with the blight launcher, again should get on pretty well, because the sprayer's anti-infantry.
Yep.
Good for Overwatch. And then the blight launcher one has got blast. What is it? 2 damage?
Yeah, so it's D6 plus 2 plus blast, AP2, 3 damage.
3 damage. So it's killing everyone that goes through, kills a Marine. Like, or a Terminator. So it should be, on paper, that's like that.
Yeah.
All of that is nastiness.
Yeah. And then in reality, a Mephistic Blight Hauler and the heavy blight drone couldn't pick up 2 Secretile robots.
No, they did fail that. That was
they
true.
left them on 1 wound, and then I think did I shoot it into the Terminators at one point and kill a Terminator?
That was your bloke drone.
Yeah,
went into them, and I was like, oh, this is going to be relatively painful. And I can't remember why, but just none of it.
Well, it was a low number of rolls, and even having 2 for blast, because I still got hit on freeze, and I just didn't roll that many freeze, and then 2 and even wounding on 2s, I still missed a couple of those. So, say like you got 6, you lose 2, then you save 1. It's just like, okay, that was great. Which was why like the meta is to run 3. But I've been running 3 and they've not been touching anybody.
Yeah.
So it's like, it serves me right for chasing meta and buying the cool new toys, because my dice don't like them.
This is it. And it's roll it. Yeah, if you're able to roll what you need, it makes the game a lot easier. Because even Glenn said that. He was like, your tactics, he understands what you're doing, he understands the tactics, he understands why you do it. He made that comment after you failed to pick up the Secretile robots.
Yeah. Do you know what? Because you always look back at a game and think, well, I was like, yeah, I think your infiltrate thing was great, because that threw me with the spawn.
Yeah.
In hindsight, I should have held them back a turn and then just send stuff up together. But well, this is their job. Off they go, because I'm not going to fail every charge. One of these might get in, or I'll kill these robots and the point's mine anyway. So it's like that was the one thing. Then I think maybe the Plague Marine. It's unlucky you got aerial denial first turn and then just bought those Terminators out. Then you did psychic ability, so they move forward onto the point, and it's like, my Rhino's like gone from having some flamers looking at me to now the flamers and Terminators with rocket pods on them, and it's like, and then you doom bolted it, which is just unfair.
Yeah,
because that was bloody 6 damage.
Yeah, doom bolt comes in, and then that's going to spoil your day.
Yeah, So I was like, tactically, they were like the only thing maybe I would change. Maybe like if I could have dropped the Death Shroud with the Vortex Beast on the other side, but then you just worry about them getting melted by when your rubrics then step through the wall after I kill the
Yeah.
Vortex Beast. But then I was like, so not killing that second tile robot on that objective, that hurt because then you score well on the primaries on your
Yep.
next turn. Because if I'd taken that off, then I could have had that. So that's irritating. And then the other thing is when you dropped your Demon Prince in, and I did 3 wounds to it after putting quite. I think I put the drone and the blight hauler into it, which in
Yeah.
theory, like
I,
your
I,
Demon
I
Prince is
thought
good.
I thought he was dead at that point
Yeah,
because
absolutely. But
because
then when you
in
win,
other games that would have killed him.
yeah, absolutely. But then it's like he's so behind enemy lines, you need to kill it. And because I didn't, that scores you the winning 2 points
Yep.
there. The Secretary robot's not dying, scores you 5 for primary there. So that's like where when you think because the end result was 72-74, which I
Yep.
can't believe I managed to get that close to you because it felt like I was
Well,
drowning in dust.
when you look at the last turn score, I think you scored like 20 odd points in the last
Yeah,
turn. Like you had
yeah,
a big last turn because obviously you get to move on to the point. You were guarding more than me at that point anyway, and you got all your like you got 9 points on secondary, so you had like a massive turn five that
yeah,
obviously, and that's always the danger when you're going against if you're going second,
yeah,
you're always going to have that advantage of being big swing. And me as going first, I'm like, have I got myself far enough in front here
yeah.
to be able to handle that last turn? And to be fair, I probably both I've done it like I should have in the last turn. I still should have picked up sabotage, but instead I just got the bloodlust and was like, no, I'm going to kill this. I'm going
Yeah.
to kill this last Death Shroud and his Lord of Contagion. I want them dead rather than
It's quite funny as well because you had
I had enough units to
five
do it.
five Marines stayed in that Rhino till the last turn. They could have got out anywhere to sabotage. You could have probably got into my deployment zone for like the big six as well.
Yeah,
And he's like, no, I'm just coming to the middle.
I'm going to go in the middle. I'm going to jump out and I'm going to try and melt this Lord of Contagion.
Yeah, 10 rubrics, 5 more rubrics, a character, and a handful of Terminators all stood on the middle objective just to kill one guy
Yeah,
who'd already
yeah.
died once.
But that definitely was a tactical error on my part. Is that I should have gone for the sabotage, but then at that point I thought I'm probably far enough ahead,
Yeah,
but only just.
yeah, yeah. That's crazy because that last turn I was like, oh, that's why I was like so desperate to say, I've guarded, I've guarded. They're extra points. And you're like, no, you don't get it. I was like,
Yeah,
could have clawed a couple of points in, but no. But yeah, it's one of those things. Clearly, it was quite funny as well because that whole game you were cursing your dice.
yeah. Well, I think there were again. I didn't. It was swings and roundabouts as it always goes with dice, and I've always got to try and remind myself of that. Is that it does sometimes it goes well, sometimes it goes bad. It went bad for me like the first couple of turns, and I couldn't make an in run. So
Yeah,
like the vortex beast he didn't really do much. He killed a
no,
load of poxwalkers
yeah,
and then just got killed. Like he just didn't really do a lot. Um, but then, as I said, the swing side of it, I know I think it might have been the third turn for a shooty army. I say shooty in terms of all the psychic bullets. I couldn't hit a barn door in the third turn.
no,
Nothing hit. I was like, oh, okay, well that's that.
yeah,
But then I think it was the fourth turn, and it was the Death Shroud went into the rubrics, the squad of
mm,
rubrics, and you did it the other way round. Normally, you start with your Lord of Contagion
yeah,
and then go to the Death Shroud, and you started with the Death Shroud,
yeah,
and the Death Shroud did all right. I think they killed 4 of them, something like that. Like normally, maybe you'd expect a few more than that, but it's
yeah,
a lot of the time it's the Lord of Contagion that does the hard work.
yeah,
And I thought, like 4's enough because he's just going to come in and he's going to kill the rest of the squad. Maybe not the character, but he's going to kill a chunk here. And like, whereas normally that happens, and because that squad was led by the Exalted Sorcerer, they've got a 4-up invuln. And it just so happened that I made all of my 4-up invulns. It was like, that doesn't normally happen.
No way.
And obviously, that squad's then big enough to really cause problems.
Yeah, that was that. It's funny how like you're like, this is my unit that's going to go do damage, and although it's friendly, it's just a game. When someone rolls all the saves, you're just like, well, fuck you.
Yeah.
That's my Lord of Contagion, who's supposed to come in and ruin your game.
Yeah.
And you literally just ruined mine by laughing in his face.
Making all of that. And I think it was the second turn, you did something very similar. I think there were 4, I think you had 4 invulns to make.
Yeah.
And you just rolled, literally, it was 4 4s. And I was just
Yeah.
like, well, that's that, I suppose.
Like you always, and it's good because you always got to take joy in it because it means you can keep using that stuff. The time I take the most joy is when I save Poxwalkers on damage 2, and right, 5 attacks have gone through. I should really lose 5 Poxwalkers. Then when you manage to save like 3 of them, you're like, that's pretty good.
Look at this.
Although I've rolled 6 5s in a row here. Why can't I do that to save a bloody turn? Because I don't think I saved a single Terminator. Like all the Death Shroud, anytime you pointed at a Death Shroud, they just fell over, which is
you were missing a lot of the invulns on the Death Shroud. And again, that's the annoying thing, right? Because it's a 50-50. So you should, by the odds of it, you should make more than that. It didn't happen. Didn't happen.
I can't remember. I think I must have failed 1 6-inch charge somewhere along the line.
You did. You had to re-roll it. So whereas normally you'd fail multiple, you failed. You did. There was one that I think was like a 9-inch.
Yeah.
That you rolled. You didn't really care about it. I say you didn't really. You would have liked to have been in, but you rolled it, and I'm like, I'm not re-rolling it. That's fine. And then you went to the Death Shroud, and I think you rolled a double 1 or like a 3 or something like that. But then I think you rolled it into like an 11. So it's like, okay, good, they're in. And then after that, your other Death Shroud, you just rolled them in. So that it wasn't your usual. I say your usual, but it wasn't the usual. Okay, let's roll this, and then you fail twice.
No,
it was you failed once. And then because you had a re-roll, it did mean that both units went in.
Yeah.
But I think this time round, I'm right. Yeah, you didn't bring your Death Shroud in the same turn.
No, I saved one for turn 3.
Whereas normally you tend to be a bit more aggressive with them, which is like, oh god. This time round, you bought turn 2. You bought the first lot in to go into the Mutilith, and then you held on to the others.
Yeah.
And again, I think that probably worked in my favor, because I didn't have to worry about them.
No, and that's the other thing as well. Everything was, you had quite a lot of stuff in the middle as well.
Yeah.
It's like, don't know. It was that was a tricky one.
That one is a tough one, because I don't necessarily think that was the wrong thing to do.
No.
I think it just worked in my favor in that instance, because it meant like I could just focus on worrying about a drone or worrying about a blight hauler, because the one thing, and we talked about it afterwards, the Thousand Suns don't really have, unless you build it into your lists, for example. So they don't really have a lot of anti-tank.
No.
Like you can put a Predator in, like the Mutilith Vortex Beast is anti-tank, but if you've only got one of them and he dies, it's not a lot of anti-tank.
No.
So you have to kind of rely on the psychic shenanigans to do it, and like a lot of lethal hits. And really, it's the lethal hits that do it, and that's why that Terminator squad led by the Lord, because then he gives them +1 to hit and lethal hits.
Yeah.
And you just got to hope you spike again. If you can roll 6s, Warhammer's easy. Like, and that was it. If I could get loads of lethal hits, and then that's it. Away they go. But yeah, that was that's always the thing, is how do you deal with the anti-tank? And then luckily I dealt with enough of the right and your tank that all that was really left was the mower guys, and then you just stay away from them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So that worked out. That worked out in that regard. But like the other list that I've got, which I'm unsure yet whether I'm gonna run it, but that's the one that's got my more, I suppose, typical list. But it's got Magnus, who himself can be pretty good anti-tank.
Mm.
It's got a Mutalith again, and then this is the one where I've got the Forge Fiend. But to get them in, you do end up dropping like so much stuff.
Yeah.
Like I go from like 4 squads of rubrics, one that's a 10-man and 3 5s, to just running 3 5-men squads. And instead of running a 10-man Terminator, it's only a 5-man Terminator. And instead of running 2 sets of Sekitar, it's only 1 set of Sekitar.
Yeah.
And so you just get a lot less for your points. And I worry that that's going to, that's going to cause problems.
Well, we played those lists before. Once you start when you start losing stuff in those games, like your game falls apart, doesn't it? Like especially if Magnus goes, and
Yeah,
then all your Vortex and your Forge Fiend, because they're such a points investment. If they don't do what you want them to do, it's
yeah,
awful. So it's like a lot of points. That's why I say, as much as I like the fun bus, like I say, it's 400 plus points. So once that bus explodes and the Marines are just standing there, it's like, that's a quarter of my army getting melted away slowly. So it's
yeah.
like, okay, there's Magnus, who's properly expensive as well. And yes,
420 points or whatever it is
yeah,
now.
he poked his head out mid at turn 2, blew up a rhino, and then got charged and murdered by a Death Shroud. And so
Yeah,
that's pretty upsetting.
yeah. Like then that's yeah. I mean that'll be it. If I'm bold enough to play that list, that will be the thing that be. And that I suppose that's the trouble. Is it means like you have to kind of play that. That's a list that begs to go second
Yeah,
because you want to play cagey because you don't want to put your stuff out until you decided to go turn, if that makes sense.
yeah, absolutely.
What you don't want is for them to be sitting there taking pot shots, like or suffering loads of wounds and not actually getting anywhere. And like that's one thing your blight haulers have been good at in the past is really hurting Magnus,
Mm.
and that's because he's a monster. So
Yeah.
you get your tank hunter, monster hunter business, and it tends to do a lot of damage to him. And because he does have an invuln, but he doesn't have a feel no pain. And although you got the strat to blanker damage, which every Thousand Sun player who plays Magnus is always saving CP for that strat,
Yeah.
that's it. You just be like, right, let's hope you miss with the melters, or you only hit with one of them and you blank it, and then that's it, and then see what happens. But
Yeah.
yeah, with Magnus, you've really got to be able to make your invuns, otherwise he's in a world of pain.
Yeah. I think that blanking damage is almost as annoying as the amount of dev wounds you kick out.
Yeah,
Fucking
that's
hate
it.
It's annoying when you can't save a Terminator on a 4-up. When you can't save a Terminator because you just can't roll a save. That's really painful,
Yeah,
horrible move.
I think it was interesting because like last game, it wasn't actually there wasn't that much. Although there was stuff with dev wounds,
Yeah.
I didn't really hit many of the dev wounds.
No.
The thing that was doing more of the damage was the lethal hits.
Yeah.
It was loads of lethal hits going around because obviously you get that with one of the sorcerers, and you get it with the uh, sorcerer and terminator armor. She got both those two running lethal hits, and just because the volume they kick out, it's nasty.
Yeah.
Very, 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 very nasty. Like very hard to deal with.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was an unusual win for the Thousand Suns, or a rare win, should I say? Not unusual, just a rare
No.
one.
But it's also, it was nice that they come out and you didn't immediately regret it and put them back.
No, no. Well, this is the fickle nature of Zinch, right? Because
Yeah.
now Zinch is making me think I should spend more time with them, and that's when it's going to come in and be like, oh no, that was just a joke.
Yeah.
Now you're going to bring Magnus out, thinking you've got the confidence to do that, and I'm gonna properly thump you.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to one-shot Magnus next week.
yeah, with that, I mean, that will probably happen, and I'll just be like, right, back in the box. Not doing this again. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. As I said, I might not even play. Might not even play the Thousand Suns. We'll see what happens. Probably will do because I'm not going to have the new shard. I know I could play him. I like to have my models painted as much as possible.
Yeah.
So on the old painting table is still I've still got to finish the Necrosaur Amantar, but he's nearly done, and then finish the shard, who's just based, and then that's the Necron's done for now. Although I've got other Necron models I could put together and build and stuff like that will be then packed away, and then it'll be back to the wolves.
Nice.
Get the other squad of infiltrators painted, and then on to all the characters. Lots of characters lined up, ready to go.
Nice.
Some of whom in this edition I'm not even going to play with because they're not very good.
No, well, you just got to get them ready for June, July, whenever it's all going to kick off.
Yeah, hopefully I'll have them all painted and ready because they'll be what I'll take to London in September.
Yeah, that'd be good.
But we will see.
Yeah,
because we should.
10 days, haven't we, till Adepticon?
Yes, big preview. Yeah, we'll see what happens there. Should be good.
Yeah. But it's been a good hour.
It has, yeah. We're just over an hour. Yeah.
Oh, I tell you what, I am looking forward to tomorrow is combat cards resets. And now I know how to play it.
Yeah.
I'm chase you and try and keep the lead because Glenn's
he's now streamed ahead. So up until this morning, I think it was this morning, I looked at it this morning and he gone just over 9,000, which is very strong numbers to be putting up. Like never normally get that high in any of them. So he's clearly doubled down and been like, I am winning it this month, which is fine. He can, he can do that. We trade those wins. That's fine. And I looked at it, I was like, I haven't got the time today to play it. Like, I can't be playing all day on combat cards to try and catch him up. I might be able to because but I'm in that annoying bit where I'm winning and then losing and winning and then losing. And so it's like, you're only, every time you are winning, you're getting maybe 15 points.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not going to make up, like, currently the difference is like 1,000 points. So I'm like, I'm not going to make up, what I'd have to play 100 games, and I'm not going to play 100 games.
No, that's a lot. Well, because you said about having like the 5th and 6th army. So now I unlocked, what's his name? Drago, the very nice guy.
He got nerfed. Well,
you say that. I flew to over 1,000 with that list.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Him and some Psychers I think they're third on my thing, but yeah, I absolutely tore up. And that is how I managed. So I got stuck at 6,000 points, and I was going from 6,000 to about 6,100. Then I've gone a bit of a lose and dropped back. Yeah. But with that list alone, that got me over 6,500, which is where I've pretty much stayed.
Yeah.
My Tyranid list fell off. I don't like that. But then I've been playing, just because now it's changed, I've been testing a few out. So I am ready for the reset. Yeah. I'm ready to go for the win for the next edition or whatever you call it, the next cycle.
It's the next battle pass, so because that's what it'll be the next season. Yeah. As I said, I'm gonna have to keep an eye on it then, because I might have to play more than I have been to try and make sure I stay competitive.
It's upsetting though. Once you get to these dark cells, you stop unlocking prizes, and it really dries you up.
the thing with because what you get to the Dark Cells, then you max out the Imperial Treasury,
Yeah.
and then that's it. But then what you're competing for then is the end of season awards.
Right.
So the higher up you finish, the more things you get at
Okay.
the end of the thingy. I'm just trying to find out where
Oh,
it
I've
is.
just found it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
to like oh yeah. So at the moment we are I'm in the top 25%.
oh, are you?
Yeah.
Mm,
I don't know where Glenn will be. He might still be in 25. He might have even pushed on to that fated 10%.
yeah.
But effectively you get all of those extra things. So you get like card packs, coins, plasma,
Right.
another card pack, and then go from there. I don't think I've ever been higher than top 25%.
No.
So we'll see what happens. But that's what you're playing for. And then you'll start the next one halfway up the ladder,
Right.
and then you go from there. So
Nice. Okay.
we'll
Oh,
see.
I'm happy. I took 75% for a first proper try. I'll take that.
Yeah, and it will keep going as well
Yeah.
because as it gets harder, that's the thing is you're as long as you've made it to the top,
Mm,
like as in you've done the Dark Cells, you've maxed everything out, you completed it. Even if you then just stopped playing at 6,500,
yeah.
your position actually goes up because you have more people joining below.
Right. Okay.
So that's like you can improve your position by just staying there, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Just don't lose.
Yeah, but that's exactly
Yeah.
it. But stay where you're anyway.
Yeah.
Combat cards aside, that's
That's a whole hobby in itself.
all starts again tomorrow. So we'll
Yeah.
see what happens.
Yeah. Cool. Right. Brilliant.
All right. Well, we'll leave it there, and then next Sunday we'll see how the new combat cards is treating us all,
Yeah.
uh, as well as we won't have heard at Depticon at that point, will we? So it'll just be
No, it'll be before that, and I don't
potential
think we would have had a
potential
game.
rumors. Yeah. No game in the week, so we'll see. But you might have a club game.
No, annoyingly, real life is taken over this Wednesday. It doesn't normally happen, but we have to make sacrifices to keep people happy. So it's
That definitely.
Wednesday, and actually, I was supposed to be playing Dave's oldest and taking on the Green Tide, but I've had to cancel on him. And
Oh
obviously,
well.
the abuse I'm getting is that I'm scared, but actually, I've got children I've got to look after.
Well, it does. It unfortunately sometimes that's the
Yeah,
way it goes, right?
yeah. But
Cool.
might get some poxwalkers painted this week. Who knows? We'll
Very good.
see.
Always good to add some Poxel.
Tune in next week to find out
Find
that I
out.
didn't do it.
Very good.
Awesome. All right. Well, cool. We'll see you next week.
Absolutely. And we're ended. We're out.
Nice.
Cool.
Very nice.
Good stuff. Right. What I'll do is I'll delete that one